The biggest mistake this young girl made in life was to date a broke guy who was so desperate for money. They ended up using her breast to make soap, her heart to make soup, and her intestines to appease the gods.
400-level theater art student was killed and buried in a shallow well-like grave after parts of her body were severed and mutilated by her killers. One of the suspects, who claimed to be her boyfriend, a graduate of Lagos State University, Owolabi Adeeko, confessed that the victim left Mowe in Ogun State less than a month that the relationship started for Ikoyile to visit him on the 8th of last December.
We always frown at women who say they only want to date guys who have money, citing that they may be victims of money rituals because of those kind of guys that they like. But research have found out that most of the men who do money rituals, most of the men who kill their friends, lovers, wives, and children for money rituals are broke men. Broke, desperate men who believe in being fetish. Favor Deli Oladele was a 22-year-old student of LASU, Lagos State University. While in her 400 level in her final year, presumably, she met a guy, 23-year-old Owolabi Adeeko, who was also a student of the same school. Within a space of 1 month, they fell in love. Within a space of 1 month, they started dating. And within a space of 1 month, he ended up killing her for money rituals. Favor didn't judge this guy for not having a car, for not being wealthy, for not being rich, for not being flashy. She just thought this was a genuine love and hoped that maybe they could grow together and achieve great things together for whatever the future had for their relationship. Little did she know that this relationship was all a force and a ploy, because whereas Favor was in love and planning on just finishing her studies, this young man was facing serious financial problems at home and was desperate to fix it. Instead of looking for a legitimate way to make money, Owolabi decided to meet a prophet, a pastor, a 42-year-old man by the name of Segun Phillips. Segun Phillips runs a Cherubim and Seraphim church in Ikoyi-Ile in Osun State. He had known Owolabi for nearly 2 years and they've developed some kind of pastor-prophet member relationship. And one day, Owolabi meets Pastor Segun, letting him know that he wants to make money, that he was desperate to be rich, that he needed to be wealthy, that he hates the fact that he's poor, he's broke, and cannot afford the things that he needs. And that was when the discussion for money ritual came to be. Prior to this, the only thing that Pastor Segun used to do for Owolabi was to interpret his dreams. So out of nowhere, he suddenly decided that, okay, let me graduate from being the Joseph the Dreamer to being the native doctor that would make you rich. Pastor Segun could have easily turned this down because this was not even his field. However, he too was broke and he too needed money. And so he thought this was a good opportunity for him to get money. He told Owolabi that he could run him a sacrifice, but he would have to pay the sum of 250,000 naira. He also told him for the rituals to be successful, he would need a human being as sacrifice. And I believe it is around this time that he thought, say no more. All I have to do is find a girl, date her for a few days or months, and I'll get her for the sacrifice. After discussing with Pastor Segun, he went to meet his mother, Bola Adeeko, and told the mother about Pastor Segun and how he had promised to help make a sacrifice for him that would make them rich and change their financial situation for good. And the mother accepted. But what he did not tell the mother was that he was going to kill a human being for that sacrifice. Owolabi then went further to introduce the mother to Pastor Segun. So at this moment, it's the three of them that were going to partake in the ritual because the mother also wants to be rich. The sacrifice was not just for Owolabi, it was for the family. So the mother had to participate and it was important for her to be there. The only problem is she did not follow the details of the sacrifice. She just thought this was going to be a killing of chicken, a killing of cow, do this, rub this soap, eat this, dance here, go there, do that. Little did she know that underneath the surface of this whole arrangement, there was something much more darker that she could not even imagine. Or maybe she could. Maybe she knew the whole time. But you know how some mothers can be. She probably distanced herself or pretended not to know so that she can use it as a leverage to get out of the situation. That's just my thoughts. Now, after Owolabi Adeeko and Pastor Segun had arranged the process for the sacrifice, he and his mother, that is Owolabi and Bola, were able to come up with 210,000 naira to give to him. What was left now was to find the specimen and the victim for this ritual. Around this time, back in November or towards the end of October, Owolabi had already started developing a friendship with Favor, Dale, or Ladile. It started up as friends. But since within his meeting with this girl and his discussion with this pastor in Osun State, he knew that the sacrifice was coming. And he knew whatever friendship he had with this girl, he needed to hasten it up so that he can get her trust. And just within 2-3 weeks of meeting, he asked her out and they started dating officially. And he started putting up the act and the show, making it seem like he was so madly in love with this girl, enough to convince her that there was something brewing between the two of them. And when he got that locked in on the 8th of December 2019, while this girl just finished from school, she had finished her final papers, she was still doing her project defense, I believe. And this could have also been the first semester, it's unclear, but this girl was done with school for a semester and was at home with her family trying to rest when she just got a phone call from her new boyfriend, Owolabi. And Owolabi is like, whoa, what's up? What are you doing this weekend? Can you just come to Osun State? I want to introduce you to my uncle. I want him to know the girl I want to marry. I need to just put it out there. I am so head over heels with you. And for some reason, Favor basically fell for it. It's painful, but you got to put in mind that Favor is a 22-year-old girl. And I don't know if you know anything about 22-year-olds. They're already planning their wedding. They're already picturing this all romanticizing relationship for them. And I guess it was easy for Favor to fall for this because the guy has been this was a new part of their relationship. They started off well as friends for a week, enough for her to believe that this might be genuine. And it is also very possible that this young man had a sweet mouth. So inviting her to Osun State to meet the uncle was a very big step that to me would have raised some kind of eyebrow. However, Favor fell for it. She packed up her things, told her parents at home that she was going to go back to school and she might see a friend from there. But she never gave the details of who she was going to meet or basically where she was going, other than school. There's also that possibility that Owolabi would have convinced her not to inform her parents of where she was going to. And that may have played a role in why she did not give enough information. She left her home that day, the 8th of December, heading to school, presumably. And that was the last time her mom and her dad saw her in one piece, at least. She took a bus to Ikoyi-Ile in Osun State. When she got there, she met the boyfriend, they hugged, and he took her straight to church. And this is the church of Pastor Segun Phillips. Clearly, Segun Phillips was posing to be the uncle that they were coming to see. Prior, by this time, according to the both accounts, because when the thing casted, Segun started pointing fingers at Owolabi, and Owolabi started pointing fingers at Segun. So we have two different but similar accounts on how they killed this girl. According to Owolabi, he said that when the girl came to the church, out of nowhere, Segun Phillips attacked her with a mortar pestle, striking her in the head until she passed. According to Pastor Segun Phillips, who is claiming that it was Owolabi who did the killing, said that when Owolabi brought the girl, he had already given her a substance, something to drink that made her drowsy and sleepy, and so they gave her a part in the church to rest, and they used that opportunity of when she was sleeping to have her killed. Either way, she was killed and struck with a mortar pestle. That seemed to be the two consistent details in their story. And after she was killed, Pastor Segun Phillips proceeded to do the dissecting. I'm not going to go into the gory details, but basically her breast was harvested, her heart was harvested, and other internal organs were harvested. What was left of her was buried by the side of the church. And the sacrifice had 3 steps, according to Pastor Segun. The first step, they were going to use the heart to make soup, and that soup was going to be drank and eaten as food by Bola, the mother of Owolabi, who was somewhere at the hotel around this period of the killing and the sacrifice. The breasts, they said they were going to use it to do soap, and I think they did. And then the other intestinal organs, they used it for, to mix with the chicken, and used it to appease the gods, and used it for some kind of appeasement. Mama Owolabi was in the hotel when they brought food for her. They gave her soup, and according to her, she saw the food, she saw the soup. It looked odd, but it was cooked, so it wasn't raw. So she thought this was the animal that they killed for the sacrifice. She ate it, but then it felt off, and then she threw up. And that was when she suspected something was off about that food. They gave her soap to bathe. Little did she know the soap was made out of a human being's body parts. Which in my mind, and that's why I feel like this woman ought to have known something was off. You cannot eat soup. You're a woman who cooks, so you cannot eat a meat that is so strange to you. In all your 40, 50 years of living, you see a soup that you're like, what kind of meat is this? You got to question it. And then they bring a soap. You've used tura, you've used detoy, you've used tetmuso, you've used caro white, caro tune, caro everything, and now they bring a soap to you. You've even used odudu oshun. So for them to bring a soap to you that looks odd, you gotta know something was off. But she ate the soup and she used the soap, and that was how she partook in the ritual. However, she wasn't there when the killing took place, neither was she aware that they were going to kill a human being. Back in Mowe in Ogun State, Favor's family were looking for her. She was supposed to get to school and call them that she had arrived, but that call never came. The father, the mother became worried. They tried calling her line, was not going through. The following day, they went back to school, asked all her classmates and classmates, but nobody had seen her. But they suspected she would be somewhere. They suspected she would be in the hostel or class. But all the places that they suspected her to be, she wasn't there. And when they tried all their best reaching out to family, friends that they had in Lasso, hoping that she was in one of the relatives' house or one of a friend's house, or had gone somewhere to see a boyfriend or something, all the people that they knew that they could connect her with, nobody, it just didn't land. You got to put in mind that her relationship with this young boy had only been 1 month, and there's a chance that her friends may not have known very well about the relationship she had with Owolabi, and that would mean, or basically mean, why they missed it. And that thing again could be that she told her family that she was going to school. So to the best of their knowledge, she was in school. So even if they knew she was dating Owolabi was not in school, but she said she was going to school. Eventually, after not being able to reach her, see her, the family went to the police, and immediately investigation began looking for this girl. Missing picture poster was printed for her on the internet. Her picture went up, and I think by then I remember seeing that post on social media. So the search for her began, and the police investigation as to her disappearance also began. Meanwhile, Owolabi and the pastor all went back to their normal life. The mother also went back to Lagos with the soap and continued using it. I'm sure Owolabi was also using the soap. I'm sure he too probably drank from the pepper soup, and all that was left now was for the money to start coming. They've done the ritual. So where is the wealth going to come out from? Is it going to be like that scene where Mr. Ibu comes into a room and two kids come out of a drum dancing and singing, shopping? Money, chop money, chop money, chop money, chop money, chop money, chop money. I don't know if this is what Owolabi was thinking would happen, but what he was actually waiting for was the money to start pouring out from the sky, or I don't know what he thought. This is my thing with money ritual. You've killed her, you've drank the pepper soup, you've done the soap. So where does the money come from? When you don't have a job, if it's one of those money rituals where, okay, you have a job and you have something you're doing that brings money and the ritual is to boost it, I get that idea. But the idea that I would never understand for these money ritual killers are the ones who have nothing, no skills, no businesses, no career, no job, and you go and kill somebody for money rituals. So where does the money that they print from CBN come from? During the police investigation, they got one important detail from the family of Favor, that she got a call and needed to go to school. And she also mentioned that she would go and see a friend. They probably may have known his name, or maybe they may not have known his name. However, this detail would help the police investigate her mobile phone to check her call information. And when they did check the call information, they saw a phone number that was last and recently contacted. And when they did check the phone number, they saw that the name was to Owolabi Adeko, which may have matched a name that may have come up in their discussion with people who would have maybe seen her with her, or any one or two persons who would have known about the relationship. And it instantly led them to Osun State, Ikoyi Ile. And that was how Owolabi became a person of interest at first. because they believed that he would know where she went. The police in Ogun State began working with the police in Osun State, and Owolabi was questioned as to his relationship with the girl. Usually, it was almost too fast for him, and he knows what he had done. But the moment they start questioning him about her, he starts telling stories. He starts saying, "Oh, she's my friend. Oh, she was supposed to come, but she didn't make it. But then again, her last address, because what they told him at first was her phone number was in your phone." So he tried to lie that she was supposed to come, that was the call they had, but she never came. However, her last phone call was his name. So when they questioned him about being the last person to phone her, he admitted, "Oh yes, I spoke to her when she were supposed to just meet and discuss about something. No, I didn't, nothing else. She was not supposed to come and see me. We're just discussing about school stuff." And that was when the police revealed to him that, well, since you're saying that you're supposed to just, that's the only thing you talked about on the phone, her last address and her last known location was in your community, Ikoyi Ile. So how come you're saying the only thing you discussed was just school stuff, but yet her last known address was in your community, which means that she came to see you? And when they presented him with this evidence, he knew that he was cooked. He thought that the only thing the police could trace was just a phone call and who she spoke to last. Little did he know that they could also trace the last known location of the person. And when he denied discussing for her to come see him, and they presented him with the evidence that she did in fact came to your community, he knew that he had to keep his story straight from here onwards. And he also knew that he has been caught in a lie that wasn't consistent. It did not take long for him to eventually cave and admit that the girl had come to see him. And unfortunately for him, he also admitted to have killed her for money rituals. I don't know what the police did to get it out of him. Another thing that could have played a role in how they got this information out from him so easily would be the fact that he too became frustrated over the fact that the money ritual was not working. It's been days and weeks since they did the killing and the soap and the pepper soup, but he was still broke. And I think he was already getting frustrated and mad at Shegun for doing the rituals. And I think when he caved in and confessed to killing the girl for rituals, he quickly shifted all the blames to Pastor Shegun Phillips, saying that he was the one who killed her. He was the one who suggested it. He was the one who led him into that, and he's the one to blame. Shegun was picked up and questioned. He admitted to partaking in it, but did not admit to killing her. And he said it was the guy, Owolabi, who did the killing. And that was how their entire ritual practice came to light and was exposed. What a devastating ending to the life of a young girl and the heartbreak of a family who loved her, to find out that this is what had happened to their daughter. Owolabi and Pastor Shegun were arrested, and somehow, some way, it came about that the mother was involved. She too was picked up and arrested, and they were both paraded, and it came to be on the news that these three people had killed a young girl, eaten her heart, and abused her body parts for soap, for money rituals that never came to be. However, the mother insisted that she did not play a role in the killing of the girl. She maintained her stand that she thought they were using animals, and she never knew about the girl. She never knew they planned to use the girl for rituals, and that if she had known, she would not have partaken in it. The case was taken to court, and they were not even given a plea, because the court was like, this is a serious capital offense. Eventually, all the evidence were dropped before the judge, and it was proven beyond reasonable doubt that these people had conspired and had killed this girl for ritual purposes. Shegun and Owolabi were sentenced to death by hanging, and the mother was not found guilty of murder, but she was sentenced to 2 years for eating the body parts of the deceased girl. Her remains were exhumed from the church premises and returned back to her family, and she was buried eventually at some point. What a devastating story. You see, and the worst part is that we will have so many of this type. Even after this incident, we've seen similar stories where a man will go after a girl, all with the intention of trying to use her for money rituals. We are going to make a video about signs that your boyfriend or husband is going to kill you, signs that your man is going to kill you, for Nigerian women. And one of the signs out there is a desperate broke man who believes in money ritual. If you're dating a fetish guy who is broke and desperate, you're in danger, girl. You are in danger. It's just unfortunate. Poor girl just killed her for nothing. For nothing. Because now, where is the money? Where was the money supposed to come from? Think before you go and do money rituals. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and stay following this page for more updates and true crime stories.